My friend asked me to film his proposal to his girlfriend, and I agreed, but I stopped when he started getting wild and turned it into a spicy recording without my consent. Now he's trying to sabotage my career for ruining his moment. Posted by you/nevergonude. Throwaway account. My friend and his girlfriend do adult content. It's amateur level stuff. The two of them set up the cameras themselves and usually shoot all of their scenes in their house. I know this because it's not top secret information, and they've always tried to get me on board, not to participate, thank goodness, but to be behind the camera and shoot some of their work. I'm a freelance photographer and occasionally do video work, so I guess it made sense for them to ask me. I politely declined every time they asked because I had no desire to see my friends being intimate, let alone film them doing it. This morning, my friend called and asked me again. But before I could decline, he promised me that nothing explicit would happen in my presence. He wanted me to pretend that I had finally agreed to shoot one of their scenes, but what I was actually there to film was him proposing to his girlfriend. Somehow, it was both wholesome and weird. Needless to say, I was still reluctant. But my friend made it sound like his proposal wouldn't look professional without me there to capture it. To make it even harder for me to turn him down, he made it clear that my presence would help with the nerves. So there I was, setting up my camera in my friend's bedroom. My friend and his girlfriend were already comfortable on the bed while I prepared. Albeit jokingly, the girlfriend repeatedly wanted to know what my friend had said to finally convince me to do this. I kept saying I was strapped for cash and left it at that. As soon as my camera was ready to roll, my friend and his girlfriend started making out. Not gonna lie, the sudden switch from casual conversation to intense kissing was bizarre to observe. Based on the discussion my friend and I had beforehand, the proposal was to happen during the makeout session. It was to go no further than that. It went further. My friend was touching his girlfriend in ways that made me uncomfortable. At first, I gave him the benefit of the doubt and convinced myself that he was probably going to pop the question any minute now. But then he allowed his girlfriend to unzip his pants and reach for his obviously excited situation. For the record, I'm no prude. I enjoy intimacy and watch adult content like most people my age, but what they were doing was not what I signed up for. I changed angles a few times in an attempt to attract my friend's attention so I could send him a telepathic message with my eyes to ask the damn question already and wrap it up. My attempts were unsuccessful. I had no choice but to step in. So, out of frustration, I literally stopped recording and said, "Dude, are you gonna ask her to marry you or not?" The question and the tone of my voice immediately snapped my friend and his girlfriend out of the moment. My friend stared at me like, "What the FCK, bro," while his girlfriend looked at both of us like it all made sense to her now. My friend sarcastically thanked me for ruining his proposal before angrily asking me to leave. His poor girlfriend didn't know whether to be thrilled or brace for a potential argument. I apologized for how I handled the situation and agreed to leave. However, before I was gone, my friend asked me to leave my memory card behind so he could at least use some of the footage I shot. Not gonna lie, I didn't really care about it. Not until earlier today, when my friend sent me a link to his latest video, which included a special thanks to me. I recognized the footage I shot, but then it cuts to my friend and his girlfriend being intimate, which they obviously shot themselves. A total low blow. My so-called friend knew the damage something like this could do to my professional reputation if potential clients were to search my name online. I called my friend, but he didn't answer any of my calls. I also texted him, which he eventually replied to. He promised to remove my name but said it might take some time because the site they use tends to crash whenever they try to delete large files, for whatever reason. I called him out on that BS and straight up asked if he's doing this to get back at me. I'm still waiting for him to respond to my message and to take my name off that video. What a mess. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. To me, that sounds like your friend was lying and just wanted help filming to make it look more professional, judging by how he acted afterward. Ops response. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. My guess is the proposal was always part of the plan, but the ultimate goal was to manipulate me into shooting his next adult video. He probably counted on me being too polite to interrupt them at that point. Commenter 2. Listen, the first red flag was him repeatedly asking you even after you'd always declined. Like, WTF, man. And then not sticking to the plan? Seriously, WTF. He totally set you up. Screw him. Ops response. I cringe thinking about how far my friend would have taken it if I hadn't spoken up. Yeah, screw that guy. Update 3 years 6 months later. Backstory, my friend, who used to do amateur adult content with his girlfriend, manipulated me, I'm a freelance photographer and videographer, into filming them just before they were about to get intimate. He had asked me several times before to shoot his videos, and I always declined. But when he said he wanted me to film a proposal to his girlfriend, I said yes. On paper, it sounded wholesome. That wholesomeness vanished when he ended up pulling an OF moment right in front of me. His girlfriend thought he'd finally convinced me to film them being intimate. I was like, Did you forget to pop the question? Like, what is happening? He got upset at me for exposing the proposal plan, and I was upset at him for putting me in such an uncomfortable situation. Our friendship was on ice for a long time, but we eventually made peace and moved on. Update: it's literally been years since my original post. My friend, now no longer engaged, in a relationship, or involved in adult content, asked me to film something else. My first reaction was, no, sir, not doing that again. But this time, he said he wanted someone to film him tripping on magic mushrooms. According to him, a shaman was going to guide the psychedelic journey, and she was okay with me filming, as long as I stayed discreet, respected the ceremony, and never entered the sacred circle, which was the designated space for the shaman and the person undergoing the experience. My friend said it was his first time and that it would mean a lot to have me there to film it and kind of be a support person too. The screw up: I agreed to film the whole thing. When we arrived at the shaman's sanctuary, I was immediately told not to film the start of the ceremony. I wasn't even allowed in the room at first. So I waited outside in the garden until the shaman signaled me to come in and start filming. I began recording when she gave my friend what she called a hero dose of magic mushrooms. I was told he'd be tripping pretty hard for about 6 hours. Since I didn't have enough memory cards for the full trip, I planned to just film select moments. Nothing really happened during the first hour, so I stepped outside to vape. My friend was lying on a mattress, just staring into space when I left. When I came back, he was sitting up, with my camera in his hands. I had left it running to catch anything interesting while I was gone. He was pointing it at himself, using the flip-out screen to see his own face, which made him burst out laughing like he couldn't believe what he was looking at. My first instinct was to grab the camera. It's not cheap, but the shaman stopped me from entering the sacred circle. I tried to respect the ceremony, so instead of yelling over the loud, tribal-style music, I used gestures to signal to the shaman that she needed to grab my camera from my obviously zoned-out friend. But by the time she got the message, it was too late. My friend must have seen his face morph or something and dropped the most expensive piece of equipment I own. It survived the fall, but the lens glass cracked and the LCD screen bent. My camera was basically unusable. So that was the end of filming. My friend offered to pay for the damage once I explained what had happened, and I appreciated that. I've sent the lens in for assessment and am still waiting to hear back. Top/relevant comments. Commenter: this friend is incredibly manipulative. They've put you in really uncomfortable situations multiple times. You really should just cut ties and be done with it. Ops response: our friendship never fully recovered. I do still consider us friends, but are we as close as we used to be? No. We no longer spend much time together, and honestly, I'm okay with that. I only agreed to film his mushroom trip after he agreed to pay me, just like any other client hiring my services. I don't necessarily see myself cutting him out of my life entirely, but I definitely see myself becoming less and less present in his. Especially since things always seem to go sideways whenever I'm around him. Commenter 2. If this is real, why the hell wouldn't you take your camera with you when you stepped out to vape? Are you stupid? Ops response: I spent an hour filming my friend doing absolutely nothing, so leaving my camera running while I stepped out to vape for 3 minutes didn't feel like a big risk. I didn't expect him to go from catatonic to Ace Ventura on acid in under 5 minutes. Plus, I was counting on the shaman to step in and prevent any property damage, since I highly doubt she'd be okay with him messing with any of her own valuable equipment either.